Welcome back, Religion Online. I'm Rabbi Joseph Batas.
I'm Deacon Kevin McCormack.
All right, everyone. We have on the conference line Dov Lipman, former member of the Israeli Knesset, current chairman of diaspora affairs for the Yesh Atid party, a rising party in Israel. Good morning, Dov Lipman.
Good morning, Rabbi Deacon. It's great to be with you.
Thanks so much for being with us. Something occurred during Yom Ha'Atzmaut, Israel Independence Day, that was very unusual, very unique. Talk to us about it.
So there's a very special celebration which marks the beginning of Independence Day in Israel, where 12 people are honored with lighting torches to the glory of the State of Israel, very publicly on Mount Herzl, the Israeli military cemetery, and nationally televised. It's a very big event. And this year, they honored a young Israeli Arab woman named Lucy Aharish, who's a broadcaster on Channel 2, on I-24 News. And the seeing a young Arab woman, Muslim, standing up and talking about her feelings about living in the state of Israel, a Jewish state, even though she's not Jewish, recognizing that she'd rather live in this country than any other country in the region in the Middle East because she's given full rights and accepted as a citizen. And then at the very end, before she lights the torch, she says, "I'm lighting this for the glory of the state of Israel." It was really an emotional and an inspiring and amazing moment for all of us who were in attendance, for the entire country, and especially for the Israeli Arab population.
I'm looking at the deacon right now. I read the New York Times. You read the New York Times. You see the story anywhere?
I was just going to ask the same kind of question. I guess this was simulcast in Iran as well.
I don't get it. I don't get it. New York Times will find every flaw, and now when something goes right, it doesn't go reported. What does that say? What does that say about fair reporting or all the news that's fit to print? This story, I guess, is not fit to print, according to the New York Times.
It's a shame that it doesn't get the publicity it deserves. The world should see that Israel, which has flaws like any other country, but the suggestion that we treat minorities or people who are not Jewish not properly, which is made very often as I travel around the world in diplomatic meetings and the like, this is just an example, and she had the courage to come out and say it. There are hundreds of thousands of Israeli Arabs who are very, very happy that they live in a state which gives them their rights, the freedom, especially for women. They can have education, they have health, and things they would not be afforded in the 20-some-odd other Arab countries in the region. They don't have the courage necessarily to come out and say it. Obviously, you live in a world where the extremists and the fundamentalists are the ones who can crack down on people who have the gall to come out and say it. But Lucy did it. She did it with a lot of strength, and I hope that it begins a path for many more Israeli Arabs who feel this way to actually come out and say it.
Dov, for those of us who don't know Israel very well, can you talk to us about a little more, just building on what you just said? What percentage of the population is Arab? Do they have full political rights? Can they be in the Knesset? Things like that people, I don't think, really know the answers to.
20% of the Israeli population is Arab. They are given full democratic rights. They vote for the Knesset. They have members in the Knesset. And this particular Knesset, a few different splinter Arab parties joined together and won 13 out of 120 seats in the Knesset. They can get up in the Knesset and speak their hearts, speak their minds, criticize the country, sometimes beyond what any other parliament in the world would allow people to say. But most importantly, they sit in committees. I've sat and worked together with Arab MKs on making things better within their villages, infrastructure issues, education issues, but they have the right that they don't have in any other country in the region to be able to do. They have driver's licenses, they have bank accounts, they have passports, they can travel freely throughout the country. And these are things which, unfortunately, throughout the world, people are shocked when they hear this, because they have this perspective that has been taught to them through the media and through other sources on the social networks that somehow Israel discriminates against non-Jews and Israel treats them like second-class citizens. They are afforded full rights. Arabic is an official language in the state of Israel. On any public sign, highway signs and the like, there has to be Arabic alongside the Hebrew. And that's, by the way, rooted in the Declaration of Independence, where it says, yes, we're calling it a Jewish state. But part of being a Jewish state is recognizing that all people are created in God's image and treating every single person in that country, whether it's Jewish, Muslim, Christian, or any other faith or background, with full rights.
So here comes everybody.
You know, when I was in Israel, I visited some of the wounded soldiers from Operation Protective Edge, Taylor Shomer Hospital, and you walk in and you see Arabs being treated. You see Arab doctors, Jewish doctors working side by side. Once again, not on the front pages of the New York Times.
that's the moment, unfortunately, when people are sick and have to be at the hospital, or if you're going to visit people, like you said, Rabbi, that's where you really see it. You see not only Jewish doctors treating the Arab patients, you see Arab doctors treating the Jewish patients. We just went through the holiday of Passover, and during the days when most of the Jewish doctors would want to be home with their families to celebrate the holiday, the Arab doctors are on call and take care of any patients that come in, and vice versa. When the Arabs are celebrating Ramadan and they have the Il Fitr dinner at the end, the Jewish doctors make sure to be on call, and everyone treats each other equally. And let's remember also, Israel setting up field hospitals wherever necessary to help whoever in the world that needs help. Certainly on the Golan Heights, when victims of the civil war in Syria need help, they say go west. They don't say go to Israel, but they say go west. They're met at the border. They're checked to make sure there's no security issue, and they're rushed to an Israeli hospital to make sure that they can be taken care of. And this is something which does not get media attention, but it's important for your listeners to realize.
We had you on the air today. We'll see you in Israel. Dov Lipman, former member of the Israeli Knesset, current chairman of Diaspora Affairs for the Yesh Atid party. Always a pleasure to have you with us.